everybody doing? I hope you have your libations. We have a lot to talk about. We're not going to talk about it. I want to talk a lot to y'all over the phones. We're going to talk about it all. But as we normally do, let's do a little housekeeping before we get into it. Please hit that like button. Cost you no money to hit that like button. I would appreciate it. Hit that like button for me. Hit that bell. Hit that bell for me so that you get notifications if you have not done it. If you want to donate, you can go to donatebrown.com, patreon.com/ycarnell. But hitting that bell costs you absolutely nothing. If you want to search, go to Ados Merch. Those of you who ordered white shirts, apparently there's a run on white shirts, white tees right now for some reason, I was being told. So, yeah, if you ordered a white shirt and you have not received it, that is why. Also, family, please, 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 if you have not subscribed to the channel, if you are new here, if you saw the interview, if you saw the CNN and you have not subscribed to the channel, just hit that sub button while you are in here. We all would appreciate it, family. We are all in here together, and we would absolutely appreciate that. If you could do it, we would appreciate it. Now, listen, family, we got a lot to talk about. We got a lot to kind of get through, but I'm going to try to get through it quick. Came in here late again. So anyway, but listen, family, I want to talk to you all when we get on the phones. We're going to talk about the CNN interview. We're going to have a conversation. The Kamala Bell, who was there, who wasn't there, what was said. A lot of good stuff was said, but we're going to get to by who. The only thing I want to say at the beginning of the show is that, thank y'all. This is always a group effort. This is about the collective. We either rise together or we fall together. Ain't no other way to do it. And if you try to do this as an individual, it will not work. It will not work because you're going to need, I don't care what position you stand in, you're going to need some protection off in here. And you can't do that by yourself. You have to do it as a team. And people who don't understand that are going to be in trouble. If you don't understand that this is a group effort and you can't run out here by yourself, just to try to get enrichment or get something else. If you don't understand that you can't just run out of here by yourself and do something, it ain't gonna work. The second takeaway that I'll just say before I get into everything else and to the stories for tonight, the second thing I will say is that you have to be willing to say the same things that you say over here, over there. Too often people get into spaces and they water down their commentary. Well, I had to try to just win everybody over, so I didn't really want to say what I thought I wanted to say, but I just, you got to play the game. We're too far in just to be playing a game. We're not going to do none of that. We're going to say what we say here. You have to be willing to say that and defend that elsewhere and help people to understand it. Not necessarily in a mean way. You can be personable, but you got to be willing to help people understand this is why it matters. This is why reparations is the key to our survival. This is why the debt is owed. This is why it doesn't make sense if you don't want to pay the debt, and you have to just be willing to do the best you can when you're in those spaces. So we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that during the phone calls, because I really want to hear what the takeaway is from y'all in terms of what y'all saw, what your observations that you had. So I want to hear about all of that. So we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to that. We're going to have a whole conversation about the CNN thing when y'all call in. But right now, I just want to say a few things. We got to say a few things about, the DNC. They done started today. They having the conversation, the convention is virtual. I heard somebody, Antonio tweet. Somebody came on and said I'm 9th generation American or something, and nobody said anything. We say that, we get called nativists and all kind of stuff. Oh, you trying to say who is and who is not American? How dare you say such a thing? You trying to say you more American than us? You see how people try to beat us into a corner? You see how people try to make us and put us into a space where there's stuff we can say and stuff we can't say to make us less American? See, Americanism is the doorway to reparations. You can't be trying to be Wakanda and trying to get reparations at the same time. It ain't going to work that way. And a lot of other things ain't working the way people thought they was going to work. Now, listen, Angela Rye, how you doing? How you doing? I really want to know how you doing. Because I hope that after this show, Kamala does something for you that she ain't did for you. I hope after this show, just to save face and try to make ADOS look bad, she does something for you. Because you have been auditioning Oh, y'all have been auditioning. Stacey Abrams was running around auditioning for Biden and got kicked to the curb. You have been auditioning to be her press secretary. You showed up in a nice suit. You was dressed better than Kamala. And you showed up there and had the conversation. It didn't get too many views. And you thought you was going to show her what you was made of and what you could be and who she could choose. And why wouldn't you believe that? I understand why you believed everything that you believe. I really do. Y'all got all happy when she was chose, and y'all started you started singing Negro spirituals. And see, I understand why. I understand how and why you got food. Ain't a lot of jobs out there for Negroes in politics right now. So everybody just kind of flailing this to COVID, and you need money, you need work. You cry real tears. And Kamala came out and she announced her candidacy. We talked about this on MLK Day. Then she went and had a conversation about said candidacy at her alma mater, Howard University. Throughout this whole process, the context has been Kamala is a black woman. Yes, you're black. You black through your Jamaican father. Yes, but you have been painting yourself not just as black. You painting yourself as ADOS, which is HBCU. She's a sister girl. She's a sister. That's been the conversation that we've had. She's a sister. You's a sister. We's a sister. Kamala a sister. She a sister girl just like you. And somehow Cardi B always enters into the conversation. Y'all remember when Kamala was dancing to Cardi B? Somehow that always you have to get the Cardi B approved. We're gonna get into why does that happen? What is going on? But you painted yourself as ADOS because when we talk about who is more or less American and built the country, has a freedom struggle, the history that you want to anchor yourself into, you anchored yourself in us, right? In a way that didn't make no sense, but you anchored yourself in us. And people like Angela Rothschild, they was auditioning for roles and they thought they was going to be what they was going to be. But it looked like something's changing. You would think these people done did all this auditioning, and not just auditioning. Kamala Harris appoints an Indian American press secretary. Now, let me just say something. That's your first thing. The first thing you do was appoint to the transition. I forget her name, the woman she's of Haitian heritage though. That was your first thing. Your second thing was to do this. Now, this is very interesting considering who got you the job. It wasn't just the people who were auditioning. It was how black women secured Kamala Harris's spot on the ticket. Because it wasn't us in the sense of just like, it wasn't majoritively just us, like the people, because Kamala never polled more than third place, right? With black people in general. We gave her some serious side eye. It wasn't us. The Boule activated. Avengers Unite or whatever they was doing. The Boule got busy. The black Boule said, we're going to get this woman in there. Now, don't you owe them something, some jobs or something? So let's just look at what happened. How did this happen? Let's have a conversation about it. As Biden and his campaign sifted through the contenders to select the vice president, they stayed in close touch with the brain trust of black female advisors who have been arguing with top party brass for years about increasing representation on the ballot to match the party's to match the Democratic Party's voting coalition. Mignon Moore, a senior advisor to Hillary Clinton's 2016 presidential campaign, was one of the leading voices pushing for a black woman to join Biden on the ticket, along with former Democratic National Committee Chair Donna Brazile and other black operatives. Okay. Y'all got her on the ticket. All right. Rumor that Harris's June 2019 debate jab at Biden might hurt her chances were overblown, Moore said, when some Biden allies launched a campaign to counter Harris, citing her ambitions to become president. The black operatives pushing for her or another black woman. Let me just start right there. Wasn't no other black woman. It was pushing for her or another black woman used the media to answer back. Several Biden allies, including House Majority Whip Jim Clyburn, push back on criticism, saying there is a double standard for women, and particularly women of color with big goals. So y'all shut back. We want Kamala. We want Kamala. We want Kamala. Okay. Sometimes in life, you get what you ask for, and that's the worst thing ever. We all did what we felt like we needed to do at this particular time in history. We all believed Kamala was the right person for this job, Moore said. She had more qualifications than a lot of people on the list. She was battle tested. She brings the experience that Biden needs to his number two. And like I said, let's just make this clear. Harris polled no higher than third among African Americans during her run for the Democratic presidential nomination, running into wariness about her record as a prosecutor and support for Biden that was more enduring than many assumed in the year before he won the primary. Now, I say all that to say this, and we know that the campaign, if you run like you run your campaign, and we know it ain't gonna be too much, right? That's what we know. So we are at this very interesting place right now, fam. We are at a very interesting place. Now, all of this stuff, all of this work that the black people, the black operatives, and not only that, all of this way and then you don't even get repaid. Kamala, did you see the outfit Angela had on? Just watch the show. You gotta get Angela a job. Just watch the show and just do it despite me. She cleaned up and brought you into her house or wherever y'all was and talked and been rallying and all these people. And you gotta go get Bakari Sellers. You gotta go get him. They've been doing stuff. But it looks like to me that that's not what you're doing. And nobody's talking about it. And for me, it's a slap in the face to y'all. Huh? She's pivoting. She is pivoting. She's pivoting. Yeah, that was good. What have we always said on this show? What do people always do? They use ADOS. They use us as a doormat to cover and say I'm part of this heritage. I'm part of this lineage. Instead of saying these are my policies. This is what I believe in. And I'm going to build a legacy for my community to make my mother proud. And to make Indian Americans proud. I'm going to do that, or Jamaican American, whatever you want to say. But it looks to me like you're going in a specific direction. Instead of doing that, you say, well, I'm just going to paint myself as ADOS and nobody will notice because we all brown. And I'm going to go to Howard. I went to Howard. Ski wee. You painted yourself with all the Soros and stuff, honey. You did all that stuff. And now you're pivoting. So let's look at the direction that you pivoted in. Right? Let's look at, This is Indian American. Sabrina Singh is Kamala Harris's press secretary. And somebody brought up, she was some of her priorities. Seriously, what is happening in India is crazy and not getting enough attention. Biden has already kind of pivoted about what he's going to do. He announced that Biden promises to reform H-1B visa system and eliminate country quotas for green cards. Yes. This is quite the pivot, ladies and gentlemen. We're pivoting. We're moving. This should not get lost today. Modi and his party continue to vilify and push racist Muslim. Some horrible stuff is going on in India. Yep. Some horrible stuff. And people will say, now before anybody says anything, she worked for Cory Booker, didn't she? Yes. But remember that Booker is ADOS and didn't even paint himself as ADOS. He didn't even come out like that. Booker came out and said, can I get a hug? I want love for everybody. So the fact that she worked for Booker don't surprise me at all, because Booker didn't even make everything. He's just like, can we all just do yoga and have smoothies? And I think love. Y'all remember that speech Booker made? Booker don't even paint himself as ADOS as Kamala painted herself. And he is ADOS. That's not what he did. He said everything's just going to be about love and love and love. So let's get back to this person. We got to have a conversation about it. Because it's not the only one. You appointed like 2 people. Now let's go down to the bottom a little bit. Because we got to follow up on these things. These things don't make good sense. Because she said something very interesting. That we have to kind of pull out. Because you have to understand, not everybody, this whole idea that we're brown and we're brown together and we have the same, we have the same ideas or whatever. No, that's not what happens. So this was another appointment. Right now, this person, she worked with and for Kamala as a senator. So she is being brought along too. All of these appointments are kind of going, or people who are rising with Kamala. All of that stuff is kind of going under the radar. Right? All of that stuff is kind of going under the radar. So Sri Lankan American policy analyst Rohini Kosoglu tapped as new chief of staff for U.S. Senator Kamala Harris. And that's 2018. Now she's going to the White House. Right? Now she's going to the White House. Now what is her background? Well, she says, from Capitol Hill to the campaign. My father was an emergency room doctor. All right. I'm just trying to find somebody who has something in common with my background. And if for those of you all who got the newsletter, you already know the discrimination against blacks in India. So I'm trying to find somebody who has my background. You ain't appointed that yet. Remember, we don't look at race no more. It's about lineage. So if I look at lineage, is Sri Lankan, Indian, and Haitian in the transition. I don't even know whether they stick around, but even if they do, that's the three we have. I don't see an ADOS yet. Where we at? What we doing? Huh? I just haven't seen it, fam. I would love to see it. I just ain't seen it. And let me just say this. It seems to me that you don't need this much Asian and South Asian influence in your VP, in your staff yet, like immediately, in terms of what you did, unless you're going to do what Biden talked about in terms of you're going to have some serious South Asian policy. See, if you were getting ready to do serious ADOS policy, I think I would see some serious ADOS professionals or some serious people who deal with the racial wealth gap, or some serious people who work on ADOS policy. I don't see that because that's not what's about to happen. Y'all done got played. Angela Rye, all of y'all. I don't even care if you go. She's just going to throw you outside to look pretty and you're not going to get to do nothing. You're not going to influence no kind of policy, even if you do go. They need somebody who's going to be interfacing about these H-1B visas and all that stuff, and you don't know nothing about that. You just allowed yourself to be a doorway or doormat to somebody else's ascension once again. That's why this has to be about policy. It's not about nothing else. That's all it is. Now let's read a little bit more about the second one, not the press secretary, the other one who was her, who's going with her. Since 2017, Kosoglu has served as senior advisor to U.S. Senator Kamala Harris in California in her U.S. Senate office and presidential campaign. Kamala for the people, or whatever the heck that say. As chief of staff to Harris's presidential campaign, Kosoglu managed and oversaw debate preparation, policy communications, and operations for a team with over 300 staff with $40 million budget. Prior to Harris's race, Kosoglu was chief of staff to Harris in the Senate, directing legislative strategy. That is important. And leadership on key committees, including the Senate Judiciary, Homeland, and Government Affairs. That is very important. So that's her background. Now let's talk a bit about what do we know about Sabrina Singh? Well, let's take a look at her background too, and let's see if does any of this sound familiar to ADOS, or what ADOS needs in terms of policy and policy understanding. Who are you? Who your family? What's your priorities? Let's talk about who you are. So she is the granddaughter of Sardar J.J. Singh of the India League of America, a nonprofit organization which champions the interests of Indian Americans Indian American community in the U.S. In the 1940s, J.J. Singh, along with a small group of fellow Indians, mounted a nationwide campaign against racial discriminatory policies of the U.S. This culminated in the then President Harry Truman signing the Luce-Celler Act of July the 2nd, 1946. The signing of the act allowed a quota of 100 Indians to immigrate to the United States per annum. Look, I'm clear on who's being advocated for. I'm clear on who is getting locked in and who's getting locked out. Now, I don't know why y'all been happy. Because you had, we got to do something about all these people like this. So you got this. Like, why Biden, why it matters. And you got that picture. But like the one on the left is Black life. May rent, June rent, late fees, penalties. Now y'all ain't gonna get, hey, no. What you happy about? This is life for us. That is our life. You running up to her smiling for what? For what? She's hiring people that can go back and who can have all these H-1B conversations, all these immigration conversations. What you running up to Kamala and talking about? This is K-Part little silly self. He always so silly. He's the most silly little boule man. Why Biden's elevation of Kamala Harris puts a lump in my throat? You keep a lump in your throat. You get paid to have a lump in your throat. God doggone, that's all you ever do. Why this matters to me? Why this? Jeez, because you can't write yourself out of a paper bag, Jonathan K-Part. You can't write at all. So yes, that's what you come up with. This is ADOS life though. You need somebody who understands that and is anchored in that and can move in that way. And Kamala ain't it. And she's showing you now that she ain't it. There's a lineage here of advocating. When you talk about seeing, of advocating for Indians. And I don't have no, hey, if you are, you should advocate. I advocate for ADOS. We about to get left. There's a whole thing here that's going to forget all that stuff. Remember what we were talking about before? We already people say go get yeah. You just got to go get you a tech degree, and then we can't get jobs in tech. What do you think is going to happen now with these H-1Bs? I'm just saying, it just is what it is. I didn't make it. I didn't make it. I didn't make it. It is what it is. Kamala's filling up with people who understand, that can interface with people, who speak Hindi. I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know what we're going to do. People done made a bunch of bad choices. And now we here. Now we here. I guess he, but hey, he can talk to Cardi B. Right? Didn't what's the little man name? Didn't Bernie Sanders talk to Cardi B? Why is everybody talking to Cardi B? See, understand, there's this whole performance going on where how you deal. I'm not saying that no other person or that it's only Negroes that like Cardi B, but Cardi B got on there. And did anybody watch it? Did anybody watch the Joe Biden? What's the Joe Biden thing? Did anybody watch the Joe Biden thing? Joey, he called himself Joey, and she said black people are just asking for equality. Listen, you see, they got policy people headed up to be with Kamala. This thing is stacking up. And the same thing with Joe Biden. What we get Cardi B. Cardi B, listen, I ain't even gonna call you Cardi B. What is your real name? I'm not calling nobody Lil Scrappy, the baby, Lil Baby. I'm not calling nobody that no more. Now let me just see the real name of the person who's speaking for ADOS in America. Let me see what your real name is. I'm not good with names. Belcalis. Marlenis Almanza. Now, this is the people saying what black people really want. What black people really want is equality. She's speaking up, speaking out. Joe Biden called himself Joey B. And that was, somebody said that was Kay Park's mom in the picture. Kay Park's mom. I don't know about it. Oh, Lord, the bootleg people. But don't worry not. Kay Park's mom are going, and they gonna do their thing and do the bootleg thing. And Cardi B, wait a minute, what's her name? How do you pronounce that? Somebody give me a somebody tell me how to pronounce this, because I don't want to be disrespectful. I'm really not trying to make a joke out of a phonetic kind of thing in the comments, because I tried to figure it out and I couldn't. Because I don't know how to pronounce it. It's a hold on. Bel Khaliz, is that right? Somebody said Bel Khaliz. Okay, Bel Khaliz. Bel Khaliz, listen. I don't need you speaking for me in this life. See, because you're wrong too. Listen, we're going to have Cardi B speaking for us, and these other policy advisors are going to be doing and making moves for Kamala and for Joey B. But I don't need you speaking for me, Cardi, because I don't want equality in the sense that King talked about it. People think, well, King said equality. He was talking about equality in terms of the fact we're economically equal. We have access. And he said, we're coming to get our check. You don't know enough to talk for me. And you got some problematic stuff in your history. Listen, I wouldn't bring this stuff up. I wouldn't even deal with all this stuff and the drugging of the people and all that stuff. I don't want to deal with none of that. But I don't need you to discuss policy for me. You did it with Bernie, and now you do it. I don't need, because you always end up talking about black people. It ain't even like you just go there and be Madonna or something. You don't need to speak for me. If you're going to just go there and be some cultural something that people like to talk to and talk about, hey, I'm 45. Maybe I don't understand it, so I don't expect to. That's that generation. I have my own qualms, but I don't speak about it. But you don't get to talk about policy. Cardi B don't need to be the one showing up all the time, talking about politics. Why don't you just go do your rap thing? Who has this? Who has this where she always got to come out and talk about what we want? Black people just want to be equality. So you'll meet with Cardi B, Joey B. You'll meet with Cardi B, but you won't meet with ADOS, and that's supposed to make me feel away. That's supposed to make me feel some kind of way. I mean, at a certain point, you just got to understand, like, how much people disrespect us. Y'all didn't even bring Mary J. Blige out to sing. Y'all remember when Mary J. Blige came out and started singing for Hillary Clinton? That was awful too. But at least she went and got the right one, and then she just did some stuff. Well, Hillary. What the heck was she doing? But that was embarrassing. And Mary J., we love you to death, but you embarrassed us on that day. We still got love for you, but it was very embarrassing. And you didn't even, but at least Hillary went and got the right one. I don't know who, in terms of, we love some Mary J. music and stuff, and she be hollering and stuff, and she get into it, and that's the kind of stuff we do. At least you understood. I don't know what we doing. I don't even know what we doing. Maybe you're trying to get the young vote or the kids, but she just need to stop talking about policy. If you want to talk to Cardi B, have Cardi B talk to you about hip hop and hip hop culture or something. Don't get her. Listen, that's all we want is to be treated out. That's out of bounds, Cardi B. You just this very Bella Keys. What is this? I can't remember. That's out of bounds though. We're not gonna keep having this disrespect. We're not going to keep doing it. I forgot how to pronounce your name just that fast. Where's the image at? Bel Khaliz. Whatever. Anyway. What I was saying is this, family. Listen. You got to understand something. sometimes I know you don't want to own it, or we don't want to own it, and it makes you feel a way, to know that you've been played for a fool. I understand that. But sometimes it just is what it is. And I think the people who kind of supported Kamala have to kind of have a come to Jesus moment. It's time to have a come to Jesus moment. You just got played for a fool. It don't even matter who he picked, though. You still got played for a fool regardless. You still got played for a fool. These are the people who are going. And this is her priority, right? She's going to the, if they win, she's going to the White House with Kamala. Here's her priority. I feel so fortunate to be given this opportunity to take a step back and give back to my culture and to South Asian students that are so passionate about politics, democracy, or policy. I am learning from even my own students how much enthusiasm there is from South Asians in public service across the country. Even the conference at Yale was about bringing South Asian students together from across the country and from different paths and career opportunities to expose them to different ideas of how to think outside the box in different career roles. I felt very fortunate to be a part of it. I think there's a lot more that we as South Asian community can do to mobilize and engage students. It's my hope that being a fellow here, that's Harvard, and working with these students can help us think of ways to move forward. Now listen, I got no issue with that. I got no issue with her helping who she helps. That's not my issue. My issue is that Kamala has kind of played this game in terms of identity and made it seem that she's anchored in one thing when she's anchored in her mother. Even everybody in her family says it. And so that was kind of used in the primaries, even though she didn't get necessarily as far as she should have. And then when you didn't get it, you only ran third. So you should have just been out. Because we told you we don't want Kamala. And then you had this group of black people that still push for you. And then we were kind of like, as a group, not as ADOS, well, Kamala, she'll be good. And I kind of like her. What is going to be the policy? This is the problem when we don't look at policy. What I'm saying is that the people that Kamala is bringing on board do not have our policy priorities. When you ask this person, what's the trend scene going on in the U.S. or abroad that doesn't get enough attention? Now, I know what I'll tell you as ADOS. Reparations, the racial wealth gap. What she says, can I say too? First, India's new citizenship law, which effectively turns India's Muslims into second-class citizens. Two, elephant trophy hunting. I'm not disparaging any of that. What I'm telling you is that those are not the priorities of ADOS. When you ask an ADOS person what doesn't get enough attention, even if you ask an ally, hey, what doesn't get enough attention? You're not going to get those answers. And Kamala has campaigned and presented herself in a way that she is that person. That's what she's done. This is why you see her at Howard University in pictures like this. That's how she's presented herself. But this is a whole fraud. And I haven't, what y'all heard from Kamala about policy? Anything? Anything about what's going to happen with us? Listen, Angela, if Kamala do call you, you're going to have to learn how to speak Hindi real quick. And I don't know, because they tell me they got some bad feelings about black people, or at least dark. You might do all right because they're real colorist too. So light skinned, you might be better, but still how they think of us ain't right. So I don't know what you going to do or how you going to do it, but you better figure it out if she give you a call. Because the priorities of a Kamala ain't the priorities of an ADOS. So you're going to have to figure, I don't know what to tell you how to figure out in that context. And Biden has already signaled he's going to be down with it too. So I don't know what to tell you what you're going to do. Because I don't know how you're going to explain this to black people either when you get there and you just be doing this stuff. I don't know what you're going to do. I don't know. I told y'all not to get yourselves in this mess, but now you're in it and you can't get out. And I don't know what to tell you. This is quite a pickle. Kamala the chameleon has struck again. It doesn't make no sense. Don't make no sense to be running around crying about Kamala. Oh, well, we're going to have it. I'm so choked up. We never had no black VP. What you going to celebrate that for? We're supposed to be celebrating coming from slavery to power. That's not happening through Kamala. Being black isn't being ADOS. We've talked about that. Nobody questions her blackness at all. We say she's not ADOS, so there's nothing to celebrate. You're supposed to be celebrating coming from slavery to the presidency and oh my God, look how we overcame. You can't do it that way. So I'm going to go to the phones in a second, but that's one more thing I want to address before I go to the phones. Just quickly, if you will. Shout out to the person online who put this together. Standing in the shoes, Gucci. Just before we go to the phones, really quickly, fam, because I saw some people online after the CNN show, and after Nicole Hannah-Jones said, "If I want to spend my reparations on Gucci, that's my right." And I just want to say something because somebody came up under my thread and said, well, yeah, she got a point. It is restitution. It's payment for labor. And so if she want to spend it on Gucci or Prada or whatever, she can. Y'all are such a problem. Those of you who say stupid stuff are such a problem. You're like a chain around my neck. You are like an Achilles heel of the whole group because you just say the stupidest stuff. Listen, ain't nobody questioning if we get reparations tomorrow, what you have every right to do. You have every right now to walk outside your house and lay down in the middle of the street. Can't nobody get you up but the police, probably for being a public menace. You have every right as a human being, if you want to. If you want to, you have every right to go outside. You have every right to stop eating. If you want to stop eating today, you got every right. Can't nobody make you be like, no, you got to have a sandwich. You have a lot of rights. There are a lot of things you can do. It doesn't mean that's smart. And you got to stop being selfish. Like, if we want reparations to be what reparations needs to be for us, then we have to stop being selfish. Stop saying you only live once, and stop saying you can't take it with you. Because it's not about how you live, and it's not about what you take. It's about planting a seed. You can't be selfish and say that. You want to leave your kids something. See, if we get reparations tomorrow, right? Next week, next year, whatever, whenever. Please understand, you have every right to do whatever, but this is supposed to be seed money. And a lot of stuff that I don't really talk about here, but I'm going to have to find another space to put it because I don't want to hear it somewhere else. There has to be a lot of stuff that comes with reparations, right? It's not just one thing because we have to be integrated into society in a way that we were carved out and locked out. And we have to pick that lock, and government has to pick that lock and give us ownership to land and a bunch of other stuff. That has to happen too. But you don't eat the seed. You eat the fruit, not the seed. Reparations is seed money. You build that money. You build that with enterprise. You build that with ownership. We have money now so that our homes can accrue. Our neighborhoods can accrue. We can live where we want to. If we want to have a vibrant black community, we can. If you want to move somewhere else, you can do that as well and have equity in your home. equity in your homes, businesses, all sorts of things. But you have to, that's a seed to do something else with that blossoms. And when you have a seed and it has a tree, then your kids and their kids and everybody's kids can eat from that tree. You don't eat the seed. Now, if you want to go eat a seed right now, you can. If you want to go eat an orange and just, if somebody sends you a bunch of seeds, say, hey, plant these seeds, and instead of planting the seeds, you want to eat them all, you can. That's stupid. You have to know you can do it. You have every right to do it, but that's stupid. And I don't know why you would even go and give any of your money to a company like this anyway. This is how we get set up to just give all the money back. The best way to squander reparations is to just give it all back to the people. So I don't have nothing to do with it, so I just go spend some money. No, even if all the policy isn't in place for you to do a bunch of stuff with it, make yourself stable and hold it until those opportunities that we will build out present themselves. It's a process. You don't go buy product. It won't. That's not ownership. That doesn't grow inheritance, because what we're talking about, understand, when we talk about reparations, we're talking about elevation of a group. We're talking about collective uplift. We're talking about changing our positionality. We're not talking about consumerism. That's kind of what rappers and athletes get caught up in, because they've never had anything and nobody around them. There's not a big group that has anything. So the only thing they get caught up in is spending, because nobody has anything. I can't really move this money or do anything with this money, right? Because our money don't spend the same. We've talked about that. But now we're building up social capital and a network, but that takes time. And while that's being built out, you can't go spend the money on Gucci. That defeats the whole purpose of reparations. We don't have any kind of elevation if you go and spend it on Gucci. You look good, and but your kids still don't have no inheritance. Now I don't even know how good you look. Half that stuff ugly to me. I just think you look silly. So, yes, you can do it. Is it right to do it? Would your ancestors be proud of you if you took, because it's not just about slavery. It's about slavery and accrued disadvantage over time. Slavery was the start. So everybody that came before you fought to get to this point, and you go and buy some Italian made ugly stuff because you really do. Half of the people that buy it just buy labels. You're not really buying it for the fashion. You're just buying the label. Just because you can do something doesn't mean you should. So I'm going to leave it right there, fam. Give me a few minutes to set up the phones as usual. We will be back and we will have the conversation, because I want to hear what y'all got to say. We are back, family. We are back, and I'm going to the calls. I am going to 818-818. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi, Yvette. I'm calling from Hartford, Connecticut, and I'm so proud of your show.
Thank you.
I've been a long Democrat, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do the downvote, and I've been telling everybody about your show, and I'm so impressed with everything that you got going on. Thank you so much. You've changed my life and so many other people's life that haven't had the chance to speak up about it. But I've been telling everybody about you.
Thank
and
you,
I'm so
fam.
proud of you.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate that. Yeah, we you know, I mean, we in here now, though. Appreciate it, fam. Thank you so much for calling in. But yeah, I appreciate that. I appreciate it. Hold on one second. Going to the next caller. I am going to let me see. No, 973. I'm coming to you. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Yeah, I'm Erin from Ford, New Jersey. I'm actually from Newark, New Jersey. I just live in Ford.
Okay.
What I wanted to say to you was that I totally agree with what you've been saying about Nicole Hannah-Jones, and I was really kind of annoyed about her talking about how she wanted to buy Gucci with her reparations, because it reminded me of back when the Louisianans were receiving the FEMA checks, and how there was one woman who used hers to buy a Louis Vuitton purse, and it was like the media just couldn't stop showing it, and it gave me this whole thing about, you know, the welfare queen. It just didn't sound right at all. I didn't like how Kamala Bell put her first before you, because you were very articulate. You did such an amazing job, and just to have her there like a clown, sitting up there and just talking and regurgitating things that you had said was pretty upsetting. But that's all I just wanted to say. So.
Thank you, fam. I appreciate it. I appreciate it. Thank you, fam. Yeah, you know what? I think you know the thing that she said that was actually a phrase that like Antonio and I coined. If you know the basically what she said, if the wealth is still in the system, the poverty is still in the system. And Antonio and I have been saying that for like 3 years now, like that, almost verbatim. And so it was what you saw though. That interview was taped like last year or whatever, right? So what you kind of saw in terms of, I think, in that Gucci moment was that she had so far to come. She didn't really understand it. Like it was very tone deaf. And so you kind of see that then. I've picked up some stuff, and you can't say, well, everybody's been doing this. Everybody hasn't been doing it how we're doing it. That's kind of why I caught. And you just kind of, you kind of lost yourself inside something. Like I said before, you've lost yourself inside something that you don't really understand. That's kind of what happened to her. So I'm going right now to 310. What's going on?
What up, man? I sent you an image of Jones to pull up while I was saying. I I just want to start off by saying you did a wonderful job yesterday.
Thank you.
I want everybody to understand that we share life. So sometimes I interview Cornell, sometimes they came to both of us, and then Yvette is closer. So
Yep.
there's no animosity, and we just doing this thing, trying to push this thing forward. I thought Yvette did a phenomenal job with a set of questions that weren't altogether fair to ADOS or to her. We had a nice host asking questions that I don't think were altogether, in some cases, appropriate, and I'll talk about it in a second with Kamal. And I tweeted him on that, so it's no, I'll tell him directly. It's, you know, as we start to, I want to make 2 points, really 3. The first point I'm going to make is about Jones, and she's going to clear up. The thing that happens is, like, for me, like Michi. You know, I love Michi in the sense of she just keep it authentic. If Michi slip up and say that, I think it comes from a genuine, authentic place. Oh, lady, I don't feel that coming from her. I don't feel that coming from Nicole Hannah-Jones. I don't know where she picked up this identity, but I have a problem because it feels like it's projecting what Michi is to the world wrong. And like, for me, the Gucci statement, as the last caller said, it calls back to Reagan and the Cadillac Queen and all of the misstatements about spending. You do not have a right to spend your money on Gucci because it is not just your money. This is a multi-generational project, and I think for a lot of people that's hard to see because what happens is we've been raised with this grifter mentality, selling taxes to our own community, doing Jay Morris to shut all that bread down, JJ. We not doing that. You're not getting $40 million from ADOS. I told y'all that 2 years ago. We here now. So as I see this thing, saying the line about Gucci, Jones said about Gucci, shows a whole lack of understanding of the moment. There are blacks and whites hearing this for the first time. What Jones said is a result of her laziness and also a result of her not creating this body of politics called ADOS. This body of politics that's as much as you can talk about NARC, as much as you can talk about Cobra, as much as you can talk about anybody, austerity, it wasn't here before ADOS. But no one, I want everybody to understand, as Yvette alluded to before, no one, not me, not Yvette, not you, that are listening, has a right to mismanage familial wealth.
Familial, yep.
See, this is not about buying Gucci, this is about building Gucci.
Ooh.
That is the point of getting reparations, to become the producer rather than the consumer. It transitions your role in the system to where you naturally should be. It changes us not only from consumption, from the product that is consumed. See, our bodies were consumption products, meant to churn and churn and churn until they gave out. I don't know what she was talking about, but it don't make a lot of sense. And I really feel, to me, and I say this because I didn't grow up in Iowa. No disrespect to Iowa, but I grew up in South Central Los Angeles. Yvette grew up in Atlanta. I don't know if everybody understands how offensive it is that she said that line, given her own background. You can look into her background. But to me, it's offensive to millions of black women out there. Because I know people who can slip into that line and actually, I feel personally like it would come from a more authentic place. You don't have a right to spend it on Gucci, and that's just my position. It might be people disagree, but if I see you spending it on Gucci, you're getting the tone talks. Because you might as well be Jay Morrison. Don't he spend it all on Gucci?
Yeah, he always come out the Gucci store, Versace store, stuff, child.
I guess they go together, right? Now let's move to the second point with Kamal. And so I appreciate him having you on or inviting us on and giving you some space to get loose, but he puts you in some corners. Let me say this, and first of all, and like Yvette said, we a year later. The question he asked about 1900 was patently ignorant. It is a failure of black families that he didn't know that it was patently ignorant. And he's not the only one. There were little to no Caribbean families in America in 1900. I don't care how many times you bring up Marcus Garvey, and they came here voluntarily if they did come. I keep trying to explain this to people, but they don't seem to understand. There were only 35,000 to 40,000 Caribbeans in America, as we saw in the last book club book in 1920, 20 years after his question. In addition, those people would have cross-mixed, and their children would be ADOS, because They wouldn't just live in a small little subsection of just being Caribbeans, and there were 10 million.
Well, you're saying they would integrate in, not come from American chattel slavery, but integrate into our communities.
Literally, like somebody would have a baby with a person that's ADOS, and the child be ADOS.
Mm-hmm. Integrate right in.
It would be like what he was talking about was some fantasy world where those 35,000 Caribbeans would just stay by themselves for 100 years, and they would never have no children with no ADOS. And then they get here, shouldn't they get reparations too? That's not what you don't understand what we're talking about. That's what he said. Basically, I don't understand what you're talking about, so I'm asking you a dumb question. And I'm just saying to you straight, I felt like the question shows a failure in our upbringing about being ADOS. See, there's this other thing that's been going on, and I want to shout out Darity for cutting it down. We all got off the boat. It don't matter if you Haitian, Jamaican. Well, tell them to stop calling themselves Haitian and Jamaican then. Before you tell me to stop calling myself ADOS. It don't make no sense to let them call themselves Haitian and Jamaican and then tell us it don't matter where you got off the boat. Why we not just all black boat riders? I don't know. That don't make no sense. Like what they're telling us is, what they're telling you is Kamala is Indian, she is Jamaican, and she is whatever you are, but you are nothing. And I kind of want to say, overall, I think this is a pivotal moment. Because my most important thing is, like, you can't miss in this moment in the sense of there's white people and black people seeing this for the first time. We don't need you to make no jokes. I don't want you coming back apologizing. If you don't know what you're talking about, step to the side. I don't really understand why she was on the show at all, because she don't talk about reparations. But she was there, and now she confused, and she stumbling and bumbling. The most important and powerful statement came outside of Yvette from the black man that was from New Orleans. You remember what he said?
Yep.
He said that it's going to take a movement. You know where else I heard that? I heard that from Karen Bass with ADOSLA. What she said is it don't matter about no courts. It don't matter about no courts. It don't matter about no laws. What matters is, do you have the people and a grassroots movement? That's exactly what he said. How did the man in New Orleans doing whatever he was in, youth projects or whatever, show up better than Nicole Hannah-Jones who wrote the 1619? I'm done.
Appreciate it, Tom. As always. Thanks for calling in. Yeah, there would be no way not to marry in. Yeah, but let me just say something else too. In terms of like, you know, I don't think many people even know that, like, even if Antonio and I take a call from somebody, like if a reporter reaches out to me, I reach out to Antonio. If a reporter reaches out to Antonio, he reaches out to me and asks me, hey, this call's coming up. We're going to want to be on this call. And we always do calls together. We don't even do calls unless somebody's not available. We do calls together, and we do opportunities together. So it's never a time when one of us is like, oh, I'm gonna do this, and you just be like, oh, you did that without me, man. What's up? We put all media things in front of each other and decide who's gonna do what. And usually, like 99 times out of 100, we're usually together. This was closer to me than him, and he had other stuff to do in terms of like court and stuff like that. So it didn't happen. But yeah, like that's what we do. So it's never any kind of anything. Like it is what it is. So he interviews Cornell, I go do this or whatever. It is what it is. We don't have that kind of relationship where we hide and put a nugget in our pocket. I'm gonna go sneak off and do that. No, that's not what we do. So I agree with Antonio. No animosity, nothing like that. Let me just say the second thing that occurred to me, like after when Antonio was talking about, like, she's not doing anything she doesn't do reparations. One of the thing that Nicole Hannah-Jones is supposed to be doing right now is talking about not only what's going on with schools across America with COVID, because she does education and race, but like somebody pointed out yesterday that Louisiana now is mostly charter schools. Like they've done away with the public. And like you should have been there kind of talking about that and talking about like education and how you know our education rates and graduation in our schools and Brown v. Board and all of that. Like you were there doing the wrong thing, and that's why you got lost inside of it. So I'm going to the next call. I'm going to 765. 765, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
What up, man? This is Ryan calling from Dallas.
What's going on?
Man, not much. There's a couple things I wanted to touch on. The first one was, I did not know that interview was recorded last year.
Yep.
Do any of us remember what Nicole Hannah-Jones was doing last year? Right?
Yeah, I think it was like, because it was summertime. It was summertime.
How she was even qualified to be in that space in that moment. Oh, that's right. She was doing the 1619 project.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But
she had that pendant on. She had that pendant on, remember?
Yeah, like you didn't know enough last year. So for like, that's why a lot of the stuff that she said didn't even make sense when she said it. And I'm like, I had no idea it was recorded last year. So kind of a lot of that stuff makes sense. But what I want to talk about is the thing with Cardi B. Now, I don't know if you remember the whole WAP thing that came out. And there was a lot of people that was upset about that.
Don't say the real word. Just don't say the real phrase. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, I'm not going to say the real phrase.
Okay.
But I personally don't care. However, this is what we have to understand. When you have her talking to politicians, potential presidential candidates, that can't be your background. That can't be your claim to fame here. Like, that means that they're not serious about anything that we're trying to talk about. Because while she's over here thinking about WAP and everything else, you want to go and interview with Cardi B about what's going on in the black community. And I think Antonio Moore shared a quote about where she spoke about child care. And my first question was like, what would she know about what would she know about child care? I know what it's like not to be able to afford child care in a day. Or what it's like to not have nowhere for your kids to go to school after, or as far as after school programs. Why? Because I live it. What does Cardi B, a person who did not become a parent until she was a millionaire, know about child care? Or the obstacles that go along with gaining child care? So like I just think that we in a position where you can just tell that people like Joe Biden and Kamala Harris are not serious about dealing with us because you're out here doing interviews with people who don't identify with us. Who have no idea what it's like to be us.
Yeah.
I mean, there's others out there he could have spoken to.
Yeah, and I'm gonna let you finish. I'm sorry, fam, but it's not even like it would be different if for me it would be different if I still wouldn't I probably wouldn't like it, and I would be saying the same thing if he was talking to the baby or anybody. But I wouldn't like it. But if he was just talking to Cardi B as like, this is a star, and so this is like, you know how they do those little things where politicians talk to stars or celebrities, and it's just kind of a thing about a celebrity and a politician. It's not no race thing. It's just celebrity politician talk. No, she always brings up like, you're bringing up what the black community wants and stuff like that, and like you don't get to tell him. You don't know what it wants. So you don't get to tell him like what the black community wants and what the black community needs. You don't speak for us, and you don't even make him look cool. That man can't look cool. You ain't no way to make Joe Biden look cool. Just let that go. I'm sorry, Fanboy.
He had a better chance trying to make Kamala look cool.
You remember Kamala was dancing?
But I agree with you. Like I think there were regular mothers that were more qualified to have that conversation. Like he could have went out there, if you really wanted to show me that you cared about us, you could have went out there in South Carolina where you said you didn't campaign there, and go talk to some moms in South Carolina about child care. Go to Mississippi and talk to some moms down there. Go up to Chicago and holler at my mother about what it was, what she had to go through when it came to finding child care for me. I don't need Cardi B talking about that. I need Cardi B to be a musician. And I think, I don't know if this was you who said it or somebody else on Twitter, where it's like, look at the white people that are in a room with politicians versus who's in a room for us. It's always some celebrity for us or somebody who should not be there. Like I'm a huge J. Cole fan.
Mm-hmm.
But when I found out that he was the one that was invited to the White House along with Kendrick Lamar and a bunch of other rappers when Obama needed to speak to someone, I'm like, what are you there for?
Yeah, and I agree. I think Kendrick Lamar is a great rapper. I think J. Cole's a great rapper. I think they're both really good. Like they're probably the best to do it right now. Like two of the best. I won't say the best, but two of the best to do it right. But I still don't want you talking about policy. Like I don't want you in a room. We have a lot of people who can speak to that, who can speak to disparities in education, who can speak to the disparities in wealth and the consequences of those disparities. You can't do it. What I felt like Obama was doing too. I don't feel like this is happening with Biden or Bernie. I feel like they're trying to make a play for the cool for the cool vote, especially the cool black vote. But what I felt like was happening there, like Obama was just getting together with his favorite rappers because Rick Ross was there too. So you were just getting together with your favorite like top 10 rapper list. It wasn't even for us.
Man, that just makes it worse. That makes me feel worse.
Yeah, because he met with some good ones.
Right,
I mean,
yeah. Let someone else get a call in.
All right,
I'm gonna go ahead and get off there.
All right, fair. Appreciate it. Yeah, don't be talking to me. You just wanted to meet J. Cole. You wanted to meet Kendrick. You wanted to meet I'm Kendrick Lamar. You wanted, you want to do that. We know your playlist, Barack. Going to 551-551. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hi, Yvette. This is Tracy from Lyndhurst, New Jersey.
Hey.
Hi. I just feel like we keep going to these dumb moments over and over and over and over again. And let Obama do his cloud chasing on his time. We've had enough of it. I'm to the point where I'm so disenchanted with the process completely. Like after this down ballot, I'm ready to be apathetic at this point. Because no one takes us seriously. Our own people don't take it seriously. I talk to people about the fact that they keep saying, oh, this is it. You know, I can't vote for Trump. We got to get him out. Like, you know, Jim Crow, senile, Biden, and top cop Indian Harris are come to Jesus moment. They're not. This is like Obama 2.0.
Yeah, it's like Groundhog Day all over again.
I can't take it. It's like, it's like, the saying where, Harriet Tubman or, said, I could have saved more slaves if they knew that they were actually still slaves.
I don't think that's the actual quote.
I feel like we're still reliving that. And the cognitive dissonance that we have, regardless of all the proof, the data, the stats, that you show, that you and Tony have shown us, and Dr. Darity have shown us, and you can present all of the lack of policies that Kamala Harris does not have, and the track record of Biden, and him being a creator of mass incarceration, and it doesn't matter. They just totally, just completely ignore it. And I'm like, how can you not see the handwriting on the wall?
Yeah.
And that's where that's where I'm at. I'm at to the point where, it just makes it very frustrating. How do you and Tony, how do you feel like you're just beating your head up against the wall when all of the proof and the data and the research and Dr. Darity, all of that proof is like, so what? And this guy, he's just an idiot. Kamal. It's just like, people talk, they hear their own selves talking. He has no idea what the hell he's talking about. He doesn't know the facts. He doesn't want to know the facts. He doesn't want to know the data. He doesn't, it's like, the cognitive dissonance is like, it's brain numbing. So, I don't know how you and Tony do it. School me, because I need to know before I lay back on my therapist's couch. So thank you for everything that you've done and doing, and I have mad respect for both you and Tony and all that you're doing, and still hanging in there with you regardless. Thank you.
Thank you, fam.
Have a good night.
You too. I appreciate it. Somebody told me, and I could. It was so hot in Louisiana. It was taped. The interview was taped right after the conference last year, so it was October, but it was hot. It was hot in Louisiana. I was sweating. That's why I thought it was summertime, but it was like right after the conference. Like I think I almost had to, like it was like within a week or something like that. That Kamala Bell interview was taped. So that's still been a long time ago. And still like within a couple months of a year. So in terms of what she just said, sometimes you have to look at it in time, right? So people will say, oh my God, why ain't everybody catching on? This makes so much sense. I don't understand. I'm frustrated. And you have to really understand that, first of all, we have been doing this doggedly. When I say doggedly, I mean day in, day out for like 2-3 years, 2.5 years, right? Maybe closer to 3, but that's how long that's really not a long time. And you got to think, in that time, we have normalized the reparations conversation. gotten all these people on HR 40, regardless of what it is. Well, nobody really on that. Look at the number of people who on that before and after. Not only that, we've mentioned, when you look at the polls about who approves and disapproves of reparations, look how that poll number has gone up since then, right? In the span of this short amount of time, we have done all of that, right? You're talking less than 3 years. We've done all of that, or within the time frame of, that's no time to consider what we've done. And we have to grow and we have to keep going. But when you look at it, we have really done a lot, especially considering how few people we have in the context of how many ADOS people there are. Imagine what we did if we continue to grow. Like, imagine what that looks like. There's no way not to do reparations if we continue to grow and push this idea and push this thing about people understanding the debt. We have to have people understand that. And they understand it in the context of wealth and timing. That's what people don't understand. People can say all day long, well, other people have done this work other than ADOS. They haven't done it within the context that we're talking about, in terms of framing it within timing. Because everybody used to say they're going to make up the money. And it's just going, I don't need no reparation. We have helped people understand that, no, you need it. It's inheritance. You were robbed of it. And there's no way forward without it, to create that sense of urgency. But we've done a lot in a small amount of time. When you really see that, I know it feels a different way, because you done talk to somebody and they said, "Nah, girl, Kamala for me," and you feel like we finna do this thing all over again. Well, maybe we aren't, though. If we vote down ballot, maybe we aren't finna do it all over again. And if we do, and if we have to deal with it, then we'll deal with it. But we'll deal with that one day at a time. That's how you deal with everything. You got to deal with everything one day at a time. So anyway, I'm going to my next caller. I am going to 256. 256. I'm coming to you. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hey, Yvette, it's the political guy, Trey Slade. Can you hear me?
Hey, yeah, I can hear you fine. What's going on?
I'm doing good. How you been?
Pretty good. I've been pretty good.
I just want to congratulate you on the CNN and all of that stuff.
Thank you.
I was bothered by, I'm not even gonna mention her name, but I was bothered by the Gucci bag reference because it lets me know that she doesn't know what reparations is. Because if she did, she would know that we wouldn't be able to spend it all on Gucci bags, because reparations is policy, it's procedure, it's debt cancellation. It's a whole bunch of things that you won't be able to spend. So I completely understand why we have to gatekeep and why we have to do what we're doing. Because if we let those type of people in the room, because she's the it girl. She's 16, 19. She's in the New York Times. So she's going to be in those spaces that we can't get to. And we can see that she's changed her tone a little bit about what's going on because of us. So we just have to keep on pushing. And when it comes to Kamala and Joe Biden, they're cutting us off at the head and the tail. I don't understand how black people are not seeing that. Joe Biden's day one is fast tracking citizenship. Kamala's day one is H-1B. So that takes all of our educated jobs and our manual labor jobs. But no one wants to discuss that but us.
Yeah. And they won't even let us discuss it. You just to have a discussion, you're a xenophobe. You must hate people that's not what I look like. No, you can't. So they make it to where you can't even discuss immigration without being called a racist or a xenophobe. You just box me in. But everybody else can discuss. Everybody else can talk about how many generations they've been here. Everybody else can discuss whatever they want to talk about. I'm not free. You know, you want to kind of like enslave my thoughts. So I can't talk about nothing. I can only talk about what you approve me to talk about. So if it's not something that's democratic approved to talk about or have a conversation about, I can't talk about it. No, I'm not going to abide by that.
Yeah, that's true. And the thing about it is, my last name is Atkins, and it goes back all the way to the slave plantation, 1832. My lineage, my stock, my story is not Kamala's story. Why can she tell it? Why can she do it? And then appoint, South Asians to her cabinet, but I can't tell my story to keep her from telling my story.
Well, Well, yeah, we can't say that's my story. Like you could not tell an Indian story. You could not tell a you can't walk around here telling a whole, you can't walk around here telling a South African story. You can't walk around here telling a Honduran story. We're not allowed to have other people's stories, right? And that's fine. I don't think I should. But it's just like, you can just have my story and make that everybody's story. Like, everybody's made ADOS their story. Like, gay is the new black, Latino is the future, and I'm going to shoehorn myself into ADOS. Everything is the ADOS story. We have passed that stuff out like candy instead of putting up a gate.
Yeah, and that goes into Cardi B. She's not ADOS, but she used the N-word profusely. She imitates black women. And she sits there, she don't know what CMA is, and people in the chat know what CMA is if they've had to deal with it in child care services. You don't know what that is. You don't know what it's like to talk about motherhood. And if you want to do something, if the Democratic Party want to do something, they should have had Cherie Peoples. We shouldn't have to interview Cherie Peoples. Peoples. I'm not sure if I'm saying the name right.
Mm-hmm.
They should be interviewing her. Kamala should be sitting face to face with her to face her demons. If you want to get me on board, that's what you're gonna have to do. Kamala's gonna have to face her demons. Joe Biden's gonna have to face their demons in front of me, and they're not doing that. And nobody's allowing us to say that they're not facing their demons. We bring up the '94 crime bill. Well, they should have been locked up. No, because if you talk about crack and you talk about how crack was pushed into the community, it's a government thing. If you talk about how opioids are handled today, it's a government thing. It's two totally different things. And we could have had that if we had the right people speaking for us.
Well, and thank you, fam. I agree with you. I'm gonna let you go to get some more callers too, but I absolutely agree with you. And the thing is too, let me just say this. This is the other part about it. Like, you also made life so bad for ADOS. People are like, why'd you do drugs? Just say no. That's a little dumbest little nasty Reagan thing. You made life so bad. You understand how bad life has to be a lot of the times where you would rather just be high all the time than face your life. They did a study about drugs and Vietnam War vets who would come back home and were addicted to heroin. Like the people you said back in the day, not heroin. And what they found is that the people who had a good life when they got back home kind of kicked the addiction pretty easily, right? It's never an easy thing, I don't suppose, but like, they did a much better job of it. The people who came back and struggled and had a hard time couldn't kick it. And what that shows you, if you have a good life, you might choose life over addiction. But they've ensured that we're stuck to the bottom and we don't have it. So who do you think is more apt to fall into addiction? You knew what you were doing. So anyway, I'm going to the next call. I am going now to 904. 904, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Yeah. My name is Mike from Florida. My main topic is, okay, I'm not worried about Cardi B and everything else. The main thing I'm worried about is black on black crime. How can we stop that? You understand?
Nope, gotta go. Nope. I got to go. You don't get to create your own topic. Like, this is not a free-for-all where you just decide what your topic is going to be for the day and you just start talking. We have some topics. You can pick one and you can have a conversation about what we're talking about. So, anyway, I'm going to the next call. I am going to 215. 215, I'm coming to you. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Hello?
Hey, what's going on? What's on your mind? What's your name?
Oh, hi, Yvette. I didn't even think I was going to get through. Thank you for taking my call.
No problem.
This is Kim from Philadelphia, and as always, I got to thank you and Tone for everything that you guys are doing. And as I said before, when I called a few weeks ago, I rave about you guys. I share. I do all these things to try and inform people that this is a very important movement. For ADOS to actually try and achieve something in this country. But what I wanted to kind of, I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
And this was something that I talked about with my friends. And, I don't think a lot of us really know that or think about the single moms that during this time have to still go into work and they have to work amongst, sometimes they're the only one in the office that has to walk amongst a group of other ethnic groups, say Asians and the Europeans and, the Africans or whatever, because they don't share the ADOS experience. And my question to you is, for those people, the single moms and the single men or even married people who are ADOS and have to go into these situations, how should they, when somebody asks them, well, what is this reparations thing about for you guys? What is it, because sometimes people act like they don't know. And I think they do know. I just think they want an answer. And how would you address that for anyone going into these environments where they're the only one?
Well, it depends. If you're going into work, you have to kind of play it a different way than if you out somewhere, right? So if you're at work, I would give them the answer, like in the sense of, slavery, plundered wealth, accrued disadvantage, Jim Crow, after Reconstruction, Promise 40 Acres and a Mule, all that stuff, just like multi-generational oppression, and try to drill that down within 5 minutes. Their reaction to that will let you know whether they're serious and they seriously just want to know they don't know, or whether they're playing games and they racist. Right? Because a lot of people just play games and be like, I just don't know, I don't understand, and they just be racist and they don't want to say it. And so, like, that will let you know if you're dealing with somebody who's not serious and they're just racist, and they really are, like, they have internalized white supremacy, and this is kind of like something where they really want to say you don't deserve it, but instead of saying you don't deserve it and you don't get it, they're going to say, well, tell me about it. I just want to know. I just want to try to understand. I don't know. I didn't study any of this stuff in school, like, or whatever. So if they're serious, then yeah, you can engage them and you can go further. If you've done your 5 minute though, and they come back with, well, what about if you come from Cambodia? What about that? And what about the Irish? I wouldn't even engage no more. I walk off. Like at that point, no, I'm not engaging no more. You're not wasting my time, right?
Right.
And you're not putting me on a defensive.
I had someone ask me, and it's a young European guy, and he said to me, this was during the when the Black Lives Matter thing started after the George Floyd murder. He asked me, he said, how can I help? What can I do? What should I do? And I told him, I said, I said, you can write your Congress person, let them know, how you feel, how black people are being treated. And I tried to explain to him about the difference between American blacks and like Africans and Jamaicans and Trinidadians and it's funny because he actually thought that we were all, he thinks that American blacks are African. And I guess in a way we are African. I mean, it's a weird way to explain it.
But see, the thing is, we're not African in the same way we're not European, right? So, like, a lot of us, most of us actually have European DNA. When you go run the thing, it varies, right? Some people have more, some people have less. That doesn't make us European either, though. I think the thing that we have to understand is we became a new thing. Like, and that thing that we became once we were sold into slavery, that thing that we became, it isn't an African thing and it's not a European thing. It's a new thing. So I think we have, we have carved out this little amalgamation of who we are. And even more important than genetics, anything like that, is like the experience, what we did here, what we contributed, and how we were treated is the most important thing, and the resilience of that. Like that, the lineage is more important than any of that. But I would say that we are a new thing. Like, we can't cling to stuff. Nobody, I've said this a bunch of times, but nobody clings to like a continent anyway. That's stupid. But nobody certainly clings to an identity when they're multiple generations removed from it. People gotta let that go. You're too far removed from that. You have no cultural affinity. This is not who we are. We're an American thing. We're a very different thing. We're not white. And we're not African. We're not European. We're not African. We're a kind of odd amalgamation built out of oppression that kind of rose up, still alive and wasn't supposed to be alive. Only out of sheer resiliency. That's who we are.
Right. Well, I have one other question. I'm going to let you go because I know you have other callers. Now, the lady, Sheila Jackson Lee, isn't she's the woman who's supposed to be having the study for reparations, correct?
Yeah.
And she's Jamaican. Well, I don't know if she's fully Jamaican, but I just heard that she's of Jamaican descent.
Okay.
So I heard that this was going on with her for, the past 25 years or something?
What's going on with her?
My question, I guess, would be, should we expect other people to have our best interests? Especially if it's in their hands to have the study,
I mean, I wouldn't say Sheila Jackson Lee, but I think you can do that. I mean, we have had allies and we still have allies, right? I don't see anything wrong with that. I don't see that as Sheila Jackson Lee. This is somebody who just said that, like, Kamala being VP nominee we've reached the mountaintop. So I don't expect that out of her because she just makes these doofish statements that don't make any sense. But it's not just saying that we can't. The problem isn't that we don't have allies, that we can't. The problem is that we view allyship through melanin as opposed to through shared values and commitments to certain end goals, right? We don't view it, and it's not even like it used to be. We don't even. One of the things that was great about the book club is that you saw how different Black immigrant groups were, and how some immigrant groups went back a long time with us, right? And then some didn't.
Right.
Some had certain cultural values or certain in place with us, right? Some didn't. So some had way more education and were wealthier than us. Some weren't. So you have to kind of use that to gauge whether or not you have solidarity. You have to engage people. And I think you judge that on a case-by-case basis. Some people are like, we don't need no allies. That's stupid. Some people be like, well, we got to, and the other thing is, with Democratic Party, we're just going to take everybody's allies because we all brown. That's stupid, too. You have to ally based on a set of goals and a set of beliefs. You can't just show up because it's the right thing to do. Don't nobody do that. No. We're not doing nothing just because the right thing to do. No. I'm not the ambulance. I don't just show up because there's a shooting. No, we ally based on a shared set of goals. So I think that is the key. Like, if I show up for you, you got to show up for me. I'm talking about as a group. I see a bunch of the CBC is always showing up for every other group. They don't never show up for us. Ever. What's the point?
Exactly. Well, thank you so much. Thank you. And let me let you get to your other callers.
Thank you, fam. I appreciate it. Thank you. I'm going to my next call. I am going to 903. 903, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
Good evening. This is Leo Patron. How you doing?
Pretty good.
Yvette.
Pretty good.
All right, great. I did get to see you on Twitter and everything.
Okay.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work, sister.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
I wanted to say that I did get to hear this. I think it was 2 hours ago. The guy said his last name was Atkins. And from the plantation, and that's our name too. And we came from the plantation in South Carolina, so I thought that was kind of neat.
Okay.
The Cardi B and Kamala thing that's in the news, I don't feel like that either one of those women represent me as a Black woman that's defined as a Negro. They consider me a Negro woman. I'm saying I'm ADOS, but they define us as Negro. And neither one of those women, if you were to ask them, they will not claim to be Negro. Do you agree?
I don't think they will either. Anybody gonna say that?
They're not gonna do that. So I don't see how they can represent us, but I feel kind of left out with the Democratic Party because I feel like they figured out a way to go around everything they have to do with us and what we're trying to accomplish. So 2 months ago, I was on a phone call. They called me from the national NAACP and asked me to join the call. And I've been trying to get on for a long time to tell you this, but when they called me, I got on, and the speaker for the night, or the guest for the night, was Joe Biden live. And so they asked me if I wanted to ask a question, hit *3. So I did, but there was a black man in front of me. I don't remember his name. But he was asking so many good questions. I said, well, if I don't get in, at least he's asking what I want to ask.
Yeah.
So that one man was asking all these questions, and the one that put the nail in the coffin was when he said something about reparations and what did Joe Biden think of that? And he said, well, that sounds like a good idea, because that will allow me to be able to help the American Indian.
Yeah, I remember
And
that.
I was like, what?
Yep. Yeah.
You know?
I remember that. Yeah, we talked about that. Yeah, absolutely.
He just skated right over that. And he does that all the time. He just kind of skates around what we are talking about. So, I don't know. I also wrote Sheila Jackson Lee a letter, probably Aprilish. And her answer was that Trump had allotted the money, but they hadn't given her any money to do the study. But they do have a completed reparations legislation on file in Washington, D.C. at the D.C. Board of Elections. And any state, the way they have it now, any state can get a copy of it and like a representative, and they can use it. So when they start saying that they're wanting to use the money to study, they're putting us off, because they are aware of the legislation that's already been written. It's close to a couple hundred pages, and it includes everything: housing. It includes the amount, like $1.8 million, and it's got a lot of goodies in there for the young people. It goes by ages, and then for the people that are 55 and over, they can get a check. You know what I'm saying? And the other people will get benefits and money, like the younger people.
All right. Thank
So
you.
I just wanted to share that with you.
Appreciate you, fam. I'm gonna try to get to some other call. I'm not aware of that. If y'all are aware of that in the chat, y'all let me know. But thank you, fam. I appreciate it, because I'm not aware of what she's talking about. So if y'all are aware, because I didn't quite catch it, I guess. Let me know, because I don't know what she's talking about, and I want to get some more calls, so I didn't go in deep and try to figure it out. I'm going right now to 810. 810, what's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind? 810, you there?
Yeah, hey, Yvette, what's
up?
going on?
Not too much. What's up with you?
Yo, thanks for taking my call. I'm living it out here, you know what I'm saying, with this whole Kamala Harris travesty. That's really what it is. It's a travesty, man. You know what I mean? They're really trying to pump this chick as if she's one of us, and we all know that she's not. You know what I mean? And, you did your thing on the CNN tip, and I loved it.
Thank you.
I loved it.
Thank you.
Definitely. I mean, basically, like you had iterated earlier, you know what I mean? They're trying to replace us. That's really, as soon as black bodies wasn't making money to them, that's what they were trying to do. That's why they brought in all these European whites, you understand, into this country. That's why they gave them the Homestead Act and everything and above, was to try to delineate our claim, you know what I mean, to this country for what, our ancestors did. You know what I mean? Because ultimately, you know what I mean, they wanted to dilute our claim. You know what I mean? So, Yvette, I done had way too many drinks.
He into the libations. I knew he was talking so you into the libations. You got started too early. He got
way too early.
you're gonna have to start having hot cocoa libations. You can't have that kind of libation no more. You gonna that's the wrong libation. You got to have hot cocoa or chamomile.
So Yvette and Tone, I love y'all for everything you're doing on the reparations front. And I give it up to y'all, man. It's the only way, man. It ain't no what you call that, do for selferism. You know what I mean? We got to come up as a collective, man. We have to.
Absolutely.
You know,
Absolutely.
at the end of the day.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, fam.
So I salute you.
Thank you.
Thanks for everything y'all did for us.
Thank you, fam. Thank you, fam.
I'm out.
Oh, thank you, fam. No problem. Get some rest. Oh. Whew. I am coming now to 954. What's your name? Where you calling from? What's on your mind?
954.
Cut your background down.
Hi.
Hey, turn your background down.
Hello, can you hear me?
Turn your background down.
Okay, hold on. Okay, I was listening to you. So, I just wanted. Okay, can you hear me? Is it better
Yes.
now?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Oh, I still hear it now.
Okay, Yvette. I want to say thank you, Antonio, like everyone else. I have to. Oh, okay. I'm going to step away from my computer. I wanted to talk about some of the other individuals. I have worked at a HBCU, and I have noticed that many of our elders seem to, I don't know if they've just given up or they just decided they want to be complacent in the system and they may be tired of fighting. I don't know what it is, but there is an issue that I see with a lot of our elders where I don't feel that they want to continue in the fight. And I see and notice that some of them are actually implementing certain behaviors, beliefs, and values like some of our white supremacists, like Biden. They don't really take what's happening seriously, and then they don't even, with our youth, embrace them and attempt to educate them and help them to see what is going on so that we can continue to progress. They don't even want to acknowledge politically anything that the students want to do on campus, if they want to get out and engage and have marches and riots, or not riots, but marches, and, really engage the students politically to stand up for themselves and to be a part of the movement. I'm not saying that at a great deal of HBCUs, and I've been working at two of them thus far in the South, and I'm very, very disappointed in that. So I just wanted to throw that out there, and maybe other people have been experiencing that as well.
Okay, thank you, fam. I appreciate it. And I'll say on the other side what I think it is. But I think it's kind of like what I talked about a second ago. I think you have a lot of "I got mine, you get yours" mentality, right? And you don't understand, you didn't get yours. Somebody fought for yours. You were eating off of what King and the activists before him and everybody fought for. And instead of keeping that going, see, you can't just rest on it. You got to keep it going. You feel like, well, I got mine. I worked. Yeah, because they made it possible for you to work. And you were supposed to keep that advocacy going, and you dropped the ball. But there's this whole mentality, if I got mine, you got to get yours. And so, I think we have to understand, once those people are gone, they're gone. They're not coming back into the fight. But but if you're not doing that, you don't get regarded as an elder. No, don't call me, I'm your elder. No, you're an old person. Old persons and elders are not the same thing. You have years on you. You don't have wisdom. Not the same thing. So let me go to my next caller. I am going now to 732. What's your name? Hold on, let me get this puzzle. Where you calling from? What's on your mind? 732.
Hello? Can you hear me?
I can hear you fine. What's going on? How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Pretty good.
That's good. I'm from Jersey. My name is Miriam. I'm a Trinidadian. I'm an ally.
Okay.
Living in Jersey, and I just want to say that I really appreciate the work that you're doing, and it's very inspiring. And I'm really, I'm just really inspired, and I really just want to do everything I can. So when you were talking about the reparations and how, like, some people saying some things that is kind of like being the Achilles heel for people, I was wondering, because I work in a call center helping small businesses get loans because of the economic disaster. And what I found was interesting, that one of the terms of the uses of the loan money, that you're only allowed to use the money to buy American-owned products, right? So
Trump,
so they're not allowed to buy other things from, like, other countries. So I was wondering, like, what I find would be very interesting for a policy to be made, and which only ADOS people should be able to really put down the terms for the money, that, like, you can't use the money to use on different things that won't really build the wealth and close the gap. You know, understand what I'm saying?
So you're saying, like, put down, like, what reparations outlays can be used for, so that if you can't use it for Gucci. You know, you can't use it for XYZ. It can be used for a specific set of things. Well, I think what you could do, too, is you could have kind of like a 90-10 rule, right? Because, well, you could have it, too, where somebody can use part of the money to buy a home, you know. But I don't even think that should be part of the reparations. I think that should be something different. I think that should be a different outlay. But I think you can, like, you know, the money for college, money for home repairs and stuff like that, and have kind of a specific, but it can't be used for luxury goods and luxury buys or whatever. That's a very interesting thing. That's a very interesting idea, and especially in what I would call the initial outlays, right? Because these are the first outlays. So the group, our group, is probably going to be the least responsible, because we've never, not because anything wrong with us, you get used to wealth building because you have wealth. Like, you get used to managing wealth because you have wealth. So there's nothing wrong with us in terms of, like, we might not do the right thing, or we might do something, you know, it's like, oh, that's what black people gonna do. We never had it before. So I think you make a good point in terms of, like, carving out, like, and then people will say, well, you don't get to tell me, but I think you have to carve out something as kind of a protection, maybe, from squandering the money and saying, I'm gonna get it and spend it on luxury goods. I think you could definitely X that out. Like, this is not for like you know. So I didn't think about that, but that's an interesting idea. I'll let you figure out what the chat think about that. That's an interesting idea. I haven't thought about it that way. That's interesting though. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's when you're building though, I think you can carve out how you want to use seed money, because it's seed money. It's not fruit. It's seed. It's not the fruit. So I think you can make a good point in terms of carving out some stuff for best uses for reparations payments. Right. So yeah. And
even I also thinking, even with using the money, even because some people need certain things, like I'm thinking like body care, hygiene, and all that.
Yeah.
There's a lot of companies that's very underground and not really known, that is ADOS own, right? And you could use the money to buy those things instead of buying products that uses prison labor, for example, to create and sell, right?
Yeah.
So you could instead of putting that money into those companies that use that type of labor and exploitation, you use that money to put it back into your own community. So even people who needs to buy certain things and stuff like that.
Well, it's even deeper than that, Carla. I think you suggested something that's even deeper than that, right? So if ADOS gets trillions, 17, 20 trillion, whatever the case may be, right? If we get that money and there's stipulations, this money cannot be used to buy anything from prison labor or whatever. Then you see people not wanting to do prison labor because there's a bunch of money out here that can't be used to buy anything from prison labor. So we don't really want to even do prison labor right now because we're chasing reparations money, and the reparations money says it can't be used to buy X, Y, and Z. So you can stipulate it in such a way that funnels money to not only just back to us, but back into things and enterprises that benefit us and don't hurt us. So in terms of specific stipulations in the money, and if the SBA can do it, that shows you that like we could do it too. Yeah, I think that's good. I think that's interesting. Yeah. Good call, fam. I appreciate
That's
that.
all I wanted to share.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate
no problem. You're welcome. That's all I wanted to share. Thank you.
No
You're
problem.
welcome. Thank you, and have a great day.
You do the same. You do the same. I think you're going to have to carve out something, though. And I think you can carve out something where you can use some of that for your necessities in the home, right? You might need to buy clothes, not because you're buying Gucci, but because you need clothes. You might have an interview or whatever. So that you can have a space where you can buy things. But I think you have to carve out, we haven't had wealth. And so you have to carve out certain things because this wealth has to be passed on. That's why there's a reason why Jewish people are still getting reparations too, because it has to keep coming. It can't just come and it just be over with in one generation. This is a multi-generational debt. It has to be a multi-generational project, right? And you have to begin in a certain way that kind of encourages and teaches wealth buildings and plants those seeds in fertile grounds. And I think that requires some kind of stipulation. And the stipulations can change and become more relaxed with additional reparations payments as we get accustomed and used to being elevated and managing that wealth. And it shouldn't be, and it should be managing those stipulations should be managed not by some white senators either, because they're very paternal and racist. Like the reparations a board or council or however we choose to do it, that's who should manage it, because that's going to ebb and flow. It can't be, and it has to be done by somebody who loves ADOS and like, this is what, okay, now we're moving in a different direction. Okay, the seed is planted. Now we have this enterprise and we have these many who own land out in Montana, and they have farmland. They're doing this many chickens and eggs and selling them to these many restaurants, and we have these over here. Okay, so now we're gonna tweak it a little bit this way. You're gonna tweak it. So that's a very interesting suggestion. I like it, fam. We're at 12:14, fam, though, so I think I'm going to call it a day here. That was a very good call to end on. If you did not get through, do not fret. We will be back and having the conversation. Y'all think about that. Let me know how you feel about that and what you think. I think it was very interesting. I appreciate that. See, you got to have allies that talk about stuff that makes sense. I appreciate that. That was a very good comment. If SBA can do it, we can do it, right? Anyway, fam, I want to thank everybody who called in. If you didn't get through, we'll be back. We're going to still have the conversation. Ain't nothing changed. We're still doing it. We're still doing the same things we've been doing, fam. If you are watching right now, please hit that like button for me. I would appreciate it. It costs you nothing. Not a penny, not a dime or a nickel. It costs you nothing to hit that like button. I appreciate it. If you want to donate, go to donatebrown.com. You can go to patreon.com/ycarnell, adosmerch.com for a shirt. Again, I'm out of the whites right now, so if you're waiting on that one, I'm out of that one. And I'm waiting on the green tees. So if you know, if like I ain't got the shirt, those are the two. If you got one of those, that's why you're waiting. Anyway, fam, please hit that like button. If you have not subscribed, please subscribe to the channel. Right? If you have not done it, hit that bell to make sure you get notifications. If you think you get notifications and you don't know for sure, hit that bell again, please. And we will talk again soon, family. We will have the conversation again. But finish your libations. Don't have too many libations. If it's that variety. If you haven't lemonade, then have as much as you like. But just be very careful. Anyway, fam, please be easy breezy. Take care of yourself. COVID is still with us. Wear your mask. Be careful. Wash your hands. Try to avoid touching your face. Carry sanitizer with you until we get to a point where we ain't got to deal with the madness no more. Be easy breezy, fam, and we will talk again soon.